YouTube. Go ahead, press record, guys.
Tweet out the link to the YouTube. Oh wait, it's in the Zoom again. I forgot about that. I can pull it.
People's. Wait, it's oh, that is. I'm recording on my end. That's yeah, cool. Yeah, I can't wait to hear this audio. It's using the bad mic. It's gonna be cool.
All right, so 3, 2, 1. Not peak there. Welcome to the One Take Podcast, episode 55. Jake is drinking Topo Chico. We're drinking water out here
with lime.
Ooh, getting hydrated out here. This is episode.
You guys can get on the Topo with orange. That's where it's at.
Oh,
you know,
is it?
Here's the widest sentence I could say. A girl at Whole Foods turned me on to it. She was like, "You gotta try this," and I was like, because I was just buying like the twist of lime, and she's like, "Have you ever tried with the orange?" I was like, "I didn't even know Topo with orange."
Have a septum piercing?
I think so, actually.
Oh well. So this is episode 55. Judas and the Black Messiah, a banger. Dex, Jake, Tej, and I'm Roy Ogletree. Thank you for joining us. If you're on YouTube, go subscribe to that. You can listen to this episode raw and uncut. But if you're not, we had a drumline watch along last episode that 5 people listened to, but we appreciate you for downloading that as well. Guys, how are we doing?
I really hope people actually watched along and somehow hooked us up to a Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah, just fucking.
We're in our
DVD commentary for drunk.
We're in your living room with you.
It's just a great film choice for something like that. That movie's hilarious.
Yeah, that movie's.
There was a point where we were audibly drunk listening to that, going like PD Pablo.
That's what he says. He just screams his name, and then he's like, USA.
Anyway,
I wish we did one when Coming to America 2 dropped, because that film was, oh god.
Yeah, how was that? Not great.
I'm not bringing that mojo into this new apartment. I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jake's moving on up. Like, he finally has power and water, I assume, in his new apartment.
And internet and cable. We're living.
We're out here.
And another bedroom and bathroom.
And not a crazy roommate below you.
No, it's just like a nice family above us.
You say that until they're like stomping around like.
No, they do that, but I will 100% take like kids stomping into their bedroom and like playing way over the crazy girl that lives below us like 6 times on Tuesday. Like, it's just, I will happily take a nice family.
All right, Tej, Dex, how we doing?
Not bad. The dunk contest was boring, so I'm excited to talk about this film because it's going to be much better than the dunk contest.
Didn't watch a second of the All-Star game this year, and that's not like a political statement or anything, but I was just sitting there going like, oh shit, I don't give a shit this year.
I do not care.
Oh, don't care. Like,
Super Spreader Invitational.
Yeah,
Super Spreader event.
The whole, like, I'm a big fan. I put this on Twitter. I'm a big fan of NBA All-Star Weekend. Always had, like, since Tracy McGrady in like 2006 dropped 36 in Houston. Like, I've always been like, all right, this is primetime television, and it is because it's usually the only thing going on. But man, do I not care to watch a bunch of millionaires get COVID on national TV? Like, woo. Anyway. So Judas and the Black Messiah. We are this was a new movie, so new movie podcast. We've done that a couple times recently. Last with Malcolm and Marie, but Judas and the Black Messiah 2021 movie came out technically the 12th of February 2021, released in theaters and HBO Max the same day. Has a 7.7 on IMDb. Is it a 2-hour and 6-minute movie? And this movie moves quick, I feel like, for it being 2 hours. Bill O'Neill infiltrates the Black Panther Party per FBI agent Mitchell and J. Edgar Racist Hoover. And as party chairman Fred Hampton ascends, falling for a fellow revolutionary en route, a battle wages for O'Neill's soul. The whole love story thing is kind of tertiary to this. But director Shaka King, writers Will Burson, also written by Shaka King. It stars Daniel Kaluuya, Lakeith Stanfield, and our good boy Jesse Plemons, our thick boy Jesse Plemons.
Wake up, Jesse Plemons.
Yeah, Marlin native Jesse Plemons, Dominique Fishback is Deborah Johnson, and several other people. Martin Sheen is J. Wild. Martin Sheen is J. Edgar Hoover.
Can we talk about that? Because that makeup makes him look like a melting Nixon. He looks nothing like Hoover.
Yeah, he looks like late stage Nixon.
He looks like if you took your action figures and put them like underneath the lamp for a little too long.
Also, Lil Rel Howery is in here as Wayne, like the dude, just for 2 seconds. That was weird. And a host of other people that you would know from things like Barry. I think Algie Smith was Jake Winters. Let's see.
Barry back. We need Barry back on these
shows.
It's
do
time.
We need Barry? That show's incredible. This is said to have so far only made a cumulative gross of $4 million. There's no word on how much it costs to make. Couldn't have been that expensive, but
I saw 26 million as the number for it
to make.
Yeah.
How do we even gauge it because of the whole movie situation on HBO Max part?
You know what's funny is that HBO Max, and I'm sorry to cut you, I didn't want to cut you off, but like HBO Max, unlike Netflix, I haven't seen where HBO Max has released the numbers of what has been streamed, because Netflix will be like 18 billion people streamed Malcolm and Marie or whatever. Like,
yeah, but with Netflix, it's like if you watch the first
3 times,
if you watch the first like 4 seconds of something on Netflix, they count that as a stream.
They count that as a stream.
That is
like how the Facebook algorithm where you accidentally hover over a video for too long and the sound doesn't even play. That's what Netflix view. Yeah. You meant it.
If you just watch the trailer for The Irishman, which itself is long as hell, then that counts as viewing The Irishman.
Hey, the people that linger on Facebook and Instagram ads are what's paying for this new apartment. So fuck off.
True, you are our overlord there, Jake. So
what I do.
Thank you for all coming into our homes. This won Golden Globe, of course, for Daniel Kaluuya. It was also nominated for Best Original Song called "Fight for You" by her, Demille, and Tiara Thomas, and it, of course, won for Daniel Kaluuya. He is probably in line now to win Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars in April. That's crazy that's that far away, but yeah. So. It also has a 86 on Metacritic. Critics love this, of course. 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, 95% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. The consensus is an electrifying dramatization of historical events. Judas and the Black Messiah is a forceful condemnation of racial injustice and a major triumph for its director and stars. So, who wants to go first? We got any volunteers? Let's, Dex, you suggested this. We do this movie. I mean, we all watched it, but on our own time. But you suggested we review this movie. Go ahead. What do you think?
Yeah, so like we had to do this movie because A, it's fantastic, and B, like, you know, it's an important story told in a really like interesting and very dramatic way with some very like legitimately special performances, like especially from Daniel Kaluuya. My man was floating like as Fred Hampton in this movie. Like you said, he's probably going to win the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor at this point. And I feel like it'll be a major upset if he doesn't, and we'll probably spark some outrage about the Oscars again. But
really quickly, it is. I mean, this movie is mostly him, though. I know Lakeith is kind of the driving plot point of the movie, but it's crazy that he is a supporting actor, and I get why. He's not on screen, but it feels like in the movie that he's on screen just as much as, I mean, he's not, but it feels like it. And that's probably just something to do with his performance. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. He's just that magnetic that it feels like he's always on the screen. Like, just because of how like electric his performance is. But yeah, I would definitely say he's people like kind of made it like a pejorative statement, but it's really not a Fred Hampton movie. It's about whatever his name is, William, whatever, Bill. Yeah, he's
William O'Neill.
William O'Neill. Yeah,
Bill O'Neill.
Bill O'Neill, Wild Bill.
Hmm.
Yeah, dude, Day of Fleet just fucking killed it, and I think I feel like this is that moment for him where everybody's like, oh yeah, he's the young goat now. Like, he's got next, gonna be doing this shit for a long ass time. British stuff, American stuff, doesn't matter. He's that dude now. So yeah, the long way of saying that I love this movie. It's an A+ for me. There are some things that they could have done a little bit different. Maybe made it more about Fred Hampton than what they did, but I still appreciate it being a William O'Neill story. And, I think that made it a little more impactful, kind of seeing, what they also did to William O'Neill and how that affected him, and not just, Fred Hampton dying. It's kind of about these two people's lives who the United States government just totally fucked up, because of Black people trying to advance. Yeah, I love this movie. It's an A+ for me. I'm still talking. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, the thing about the Bill O'Neill thing. We can also talk about the characterizations of these two people. Just a complicated figure, man. Like both of these. If you don't know the story, go ahead, go dive down a Wikipedia hole or a history.com. There's several articles on Fred Hampton, but Bill O'Neill, he's kind of lost, even though he was sort of the driving force behind the capture of them. He's sort of lost to history behind Fred Hampton's aura, and because he was assassinated. But it's a complicated portrayal, and I think Lakeith does a really, really good job of portraying anguish and confusion, because what can get lost is that Fred Hampton was 21 years old and Bill O'Neill was 17, I think, maybe 18.
17.
I think he was 17 when the FBI started working with him, but he was a little older when they finally assassinated Fred. So,
it just is a complicated, tragic story, and people, it will be, people will like to blame Bill O'Neill, and he did wrong by Fred Hampton, but it is also the FBI entrapping a 17-year-old. Like, Jesus Christ, it's a complicated, tragic story. So, Jake, let's go ahead. You said, is this King movie for people in berets?
Is it? I mean, the beret game is strong all throughout.
It is.
I don't know who the author's name is. Very sorry, dude, because I'm very sure you're listening to it. But the critic for the Rolling Stone that reviewed this movie, he did a great piece. But his really, really great line is, films aren't history, but they have a funny way for the public for standing in for history, which is absolutely true, because Hollywood will take great stories and then kind of bastardize and change them to fit a narrative as needed. I am not qualified. I'm not one of the 3 billion people qualified to talk about this movie on a historical or impactful level. I'm just a white dude. I have nothing to contribute to that discussion. But what I can say is that this is Shaka King's second movie. Second.
I was going to say, I thought it was his first, but yeah, you're right.
He made a movie called Newlyweds, which, I mean, I don't think anybody's ever seen. I don't know if you can find it anywhere. And then this. To come out from nothing to this movie is incredible. And the fact that he actually got Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., Fred Hampton's son, to be a part of this story. Like, he was on set every day correcting. Like, he was in actual verbal fights with Warner Brothers execs trying to change the movie to keep it as honest as possible. So, I mean, this is a fantastic movie, at least just from a storytelling standpoint, because it is a director that is trying to tell the horrors of the COINTEL program. A program that did not die with Hoover, a program that probably still does exist to this day, of FBI targeting quote unquote subversives and making sure that their message is not getting out. It does a great job of at least highlighting and telling you the story of the Rainbow Coalition. That, it's not a Malcolm X film where it's about Black rights and Black history, but it's all about these disenfranchised people that have been just rolled over by the state coming together and actually defending themselves and fighting. And we get a very weird and kind of covered over scene where he goes to essentially white pride guys with a Confederate flag behind them and bringing them in. And that was Fred Hampton's real history. I mean, that was a real thing that happened. And so to tell that story to an audience in 2021 and keep it as close and factual as possible is incredible. Is it truly factual? Did all these events happen as depicted on screen? Absolutely not. And once again, it's just Hollywood being Hollywood. But to tell this story in 2021 and get a message that is not taught at schools. I mean, I guarantee to our 12 listeners, nobody knows who Fred Hampton is, unless you really did camp. But his name is now out there. His work is out there. His speeches are now being hunted down and watched on YouTube. So this film accomplishes so much with so little.
What would you give it?
Oh, it's an A+.
I as a white guy, as a millennial white guy, I didn't know who Fred Hampton was.
Yeah.
Just wasn't in my purview. It definitely wasn't taught in Texas rural high school.
Of course not.
Like, but like, yeah, that scene, I don't know if you've ever seen, you can find it easily on YouTube, but it was a scene on Saturday Night Live with Tom Hanks when he hosted, and he went on as a MAGA guy, went on Black Jeopardy with Kenan Thompson.
Oh, yeah.
and they were like,
they find a common ground.
They find a common ground where everyone hates the government.
Yeah.
So it's just, yeah, go find that scene if you can. But that reminded me exactly of that, where it's just like, what have they done for you? Nothing. Like, yeah.
I mean, it is extremely bold to open this movie with essentially Fred Hampton teaching the audience the basics of socialism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In 2021, when like 1 day ago, like our government decided to come together and fund the people after being stuck in quarantine that they basically didn't give a shit about. So like to still be educating people that like, no, there's actually a way that we could all help each other and your government isn't doing dick for you. And a historical Trojan horse, like, bravo, kids, bravo.
This being Shaka, this being his second movie is
incredible. You know how many like director's second films are just in like the trash heaps of history, just don't matter, or just like shadows.
It's like him and Damien Chazelle are like the only.
I mean, like everybody's like applauds George Lucas for THX. Nobody actually ever watched that dude. But like this dude, like, granted, he did do other work. He's done some TV and stuff. But like second film out the gate, this, ooh, what a power statement! What a power statement from a director.
What do you think, man?
I kind of agree with everything that's been said. I think it's truthfully like a master work, and I just couldn't believe that this is that director's first film. But I will admit my bias up front. The Lucas brothers, who are like they're a set of twins and like a comedy duo. They're were two of the writers on the film, and they've basically been like the protectors and the promoters of this project for years and years. And I know them. I went to law school, one of them. So obviously everything I'm going to say could appear biased. I don't think that it is. I think the film just happened to just be absolute slapper. I really enjoyed it. The performances were great. I knew who Fred Hampton was, and I had read a little bit of his a couple speeches, and I had watched a couple speeches, and so
the twins with the glasses are the guys that wrote this movie.
They're not the only writers, but they were basically the main writers of the film.
That's crazy. I didn't read off there. I just saw the two credits on IMDb.
Yeah.
I love that their defining feature is with the glasses.
With the glasses.
So when you go out to LA and you see two dudes with glasses, that's them.
It's two twins with beards and glasses and flat caps. Like that's
them. So I went to law school with one of them, so I know them not like super duper well. Like they know me, I know them. I run into them every now and again, and we have mutual friends that they're closer to that when they're in town, I go see them. So I've been to their house and shit, and they're really cool. But yeah, they've been working on this project for a very long time. So obviously knowing them, I'm a bit biased. But I also was probably more excited for the film than I've been for a film in a long time, just because I do know them. I did expect greatness from this film, but it like surpassed all my reasonable expectations. Like I said, the performances are great. Directorially, it just looks great. It's like a really good-looking film. And I just feel like, for it to be 2 hours, you learn so much about not just Fred Hampton and not just William O'Neill, but like literally like a historical time capsule of this time period. I just think it serves so well to have something that younger people especially can see of like, okay, this is what the Black Panthers were about, generally speaking. Here's an example of socialism, like radical socialism even being spoken about in a way, because now we're starting to see a lot more of that. But like for that time period, that stuff was basically like, you couldn't do that. Like you see what happened, right? You couldn't really go out and start speaking about socialism because it was such a hot button issue. Same thing with Martin Luther King. Like once he started to kind of make a socialism turn to what he was preaching about, like he died, or he was killed. So it's like that stuff is not stuff that people were taking lightly at the time. And so not only to get the racial stuff, the Fred Hampton racial stuff, but also like literally injecting his socialist teachings into the film, I just thought was like a amazing decision. And that's what you get when you have somebody's son on set that says like, look, you can't just make this story about black and white. Like he was preaching much more than about race. Obviously being a Black Panther, that's like at the forefront of what was happening, but it was so much more about race. And I thought the film did a really good job of really capturing what this person really stood for, and also setting those teachings up for why there might have been a rift or disagreement between Fred Hampton and other Black Panthers, or a rift or disagreement between William O'Neill and Fred Hampton. I just thought it was amazingly done. I really enjoyed it, and it would be an A+ for me.
Yeah, I think I was gonna initially give this an A, but the more that we're talking about it, the more that I remember like the performances, and like we haven't even talked about Jesse Plemons. God, too good at being a scumbag and racist. He's too good at it.
Ultimate scumbag actor. Like you see Jesse Plemons on screen, you're just like, I instantly hate this man, unless it's game night. But other than that, it's like, I instantly hate this man, and I want nothing but bad things to happen to him. But good things keep happening to him.
Blink twice if you're safe.
The fact that that's the same guy from Game Night, it just shows you how talented he is, because he crushes Game Night, man.
Fucking Landry from Friday Night Lights. Yeah. So or the racist child in Breaking Bad. Anyway. Yeah, the more that I think about it, the more I think this just gets an A+ on Daniel Kaluuya's performance alone, man. I think this is one of the I think Dex, you said he floated, man. It was crazy. The speech and we tweeted it just because I have gone back and watched it 5, 6, 7 times now. The I am a revolutionary. Yeah, the I am a revolutionary speech in the church is one of the most, I got chills. Like I'm getting chills right now thinking about it, because it is just one of the more outstanding acting and committed acting performances, and just the way his cadence, you were talking about it a couple weeks ago, Tej. We all forget he's like British. Like he's like Cockney British. Like he's very British, and he's probably not, but he has a very thick accent. So in the way that you were saying, he talks in sort of like this sing-songy like way, but then you go back and you watch Fred Hampton videos, and it's the same thing. And they do a little bit of having, I think they have a little bit of his like speech on the city steps and stuff within the confines of the movie. But
I mean, how badass is it? Like Fred Hampton's parents migrated from Louisiana.
Yep.
And like, how fantastic is it for Daniel Kaluuya, a guy that is British, to have like a Southern Baptist undertone in his speech? Like, what skills?
The one line that, the I am a revolutionary over and over again is incredible. But the I'm gonna die for the people because I live for the, it's like he's singing, or kill a few pigs, get a little satisfaction. Kill a lot of pigs, get a whole lot of satisfaction, or kill them all, get them all satisfaction anyway. But I won't try to do an impression. I won't. I think
reverse the roles. Do the rest of your reviews as a British man.
Right. No. The bruv. No. The oi.
He's raw proper.
We you lads want to do a movie review anyway? Hello, fellow Newsies. Anyway, the thing with Lakeith in this as well too is I think he obviously gets overshadowed by Kaluuya, and Lakeith is a brilliant actor in his own right, but he does I don't think very few people are as good as Lakeith Stanfield as conveying suffering, I feel like, and you had to kind of think that he was conflicted for sure. But it wasn't the best, and I think there could have been more depth, and maybe it was the writing for that. There maybe could have been on just a tad more depth for if I'm picking nits, just a tad more depth for Bill O'Neill's character.
For sure.
But the interactions between he and Jesse Plemons, and when Plemons is in the audience, the looks on their faces during that speech, and he's just kind of like nodding his head and raising his eyebrows, and like, he's talking about killing cops and stuff like that, and he's just like, yeah, I'm here. And like the look on the key, that is an all-time, just without saying anything, acting moment. And yeah, that sent chills down my spine, because I was like, oh no, like it's powerhouse acting to its fullest. And I think they did a really good job also of portraying, of course, the fight scenes between the police and the Black Panthers are always instigated by the police, but they do a good job, especially of that one thing where that guy is so frustrated that he just kills the cop in cold blood almost when he walks up to him. Like, I think that's a really interesting portrayal of like, is everyone really innocent in this fight? And I don't, that's not for me to say or whatnot, but obviously one is spreading a way better message than the other one. So it is just an interesting portrayal that they put in there, and having some of these characters truly be conflicted with their choices is a really, I don't know the words that I'm looking for, but it's a really in-depth portrayal that they put into this movie, because it's like, at the end of the day, you're taking a life, man. That sucks. So like, to put that on screen, and then for Kaluuya to be conflicted about, am I said what is what I'm saying causing violence, because like it's not what I meant, when he, Lakeith Stanfield comes up to him with like C4 or whatever, you know what I mean?
That scene is so funny.
He's like, what?
He's like, hey, take it easy.
The way he relaxed.
Like, no. It was a metaphor, like metaphorically.
That scene is amazing.
No, I just think what this movie does do, though, is it really, really does give people like Jake and I, like people that did not know about Fred Hampton, like at least a smidgen of a view. And if that's enough to get people to pay attention to some of those messages, then more power to them, because that, I just ignorance. I had no idea who Fred Hampton or Bill O'Neill were. I had no idea.
I knew who Fred Hampton was, like vaguely. I didn't know anything about William O'Neill. But I kind of knew about Fred Hampton and his teachings. Not so much about like the socialism and stuff, but mostly just like about the Black Panthers and, being assassinated by the police, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the thing that this movie really does really well is it just makes you so angry.
I was going to say the exact same thing. Go ahead.
I feel like there's no way to like get to the end of this movie and not just be so pissed off at like the government, at, kind of race relations in America, at, just kind of how we treat historical figures, how we're taught about historical figures, like just everything about the story. It just pisses you off so much. And I think like if you watch this movie, you're going to want to do something to change the society that we live in. And I think that's like the best thing about the movie, is that it drives you to that point where you're like, nah, some shit has to change. Because even in 2021, this was decades ago at this point, but even in 2021, we're still dealing with a lot of the same shit. So a movie that can, and Black Klansman kind of does the same thing where it like it all ties back up at the end, and you're like, this is still what we're living in today, and this is unacceptable. We got to do something. So
Black Klansman though is like funnier though. This is just from start to finish, just man, shit sucks.
yeah, but like at the end of Black Klansman, when they do like when Spike Lee does like that montage kind of, and I think
His
it like
Spike
ends on,
Lee-esque montage. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
and
what's
it-
actually happening.
and it ends on like Charlottesville. I think that woman getting killed. I think that's how like that
Yeah.
montage in Black
That's
Klansman ends.
Yep.
So yeah, you're like, yeah, shit is fucked up still to this day, and like we got to go do something about it. So I think that's always what you want from a movie like this. If you watch it and you're just like, oh, what a great story, that's fantastic. Then like, you know, it didn't accomplish as much as it should have. But if it drives you to that point of like, that's fucked up, now we got to do something about it, I think that's really where movies like this shine.
This is right up there with like JFK and other movies like that, where it's like all time don't trust the feds movies. Like this is it's like an all time. Like if you had second thoughts, hey,
Man, I wrote my senior thesis on JFK. That movie is 30 ways to fucked up, but I love it so much.
just inaccurate, just not.
Oh, it's insanely inaccurate. We don't need to have this discussion.
Bangs. It's
so good. Oliver Stone doesn't give a shit. He has influenced, like for the rest of the time, everybody just assumes that what was portrayed by Kevin Costner was real. We don't need to have a discussion on it, but to this day, Fred Hampton's grave is shot to bits, and every year it gets replaced and still gets shot to bits. 30 guesses to who is shooting it, and I guarantee 29 of them don't matter. That first guess is absolutely correct.
No,
I think going back to what Dex just said, I really like the comparison to Black Klansman with the way that the movie ends. I have a really complicated relationship to Spike Lee's work. I really like Black Klansman, but I think one of the things I really appreciated about this movie is that you don't have that. Like you can tell the story and trust the viewer enough to not do the thing where you show Charlottesville to be like, oh my God, this is still relevant today. Like you can actually like let your viewers and let your audience make the connections that they need to make on their own. And it literally, like, the film doesn't really seek to make those connections, at least not on this in the subtext, or like at least not on his face. It does not seek to make you think about what is happening in 2020 or 2021 in relation to this film, because you should be able to see it. And if you watch this whole film, you're smart enough to understand and to see the similarities between what happened to Fred Hampton and what's happening to people like today. For example, a lot of people made obvious Breonna Taylor references because, again, like the cops are literally in his house and killing someone that's in their bed. So obviously that drew comparisons to Breonna Taylor, but the film didn't have to do that. They didn't have to show Breonna Taylor's face at the end as the movie goes off, right? It lets you make your own connections of like, holy shit, it looks really bad when an agent of the state or an agent of the federal government is quite literally going to take someone's life for the only reason being that they have a political disagreement with what he's saying. And so I really commended the film for not. It frustrates me when films try to do that, because I, as a viewer, pride myself on being able to draw those connections. You don't have to put everything on the face of the film. And I thought they did a really good job of avoiding those kind of pitfalls, especially for a guy who's only directed one film before. It would be so obvious to just drop in certain references that would relate back to our time. And I really appreciate the fact that the film stays within its time limits and within its time frame, and it doesn't try to place things from later time periods into the film to make you see the connections closer.
Well, and if this would have come out, I wish this kind of would have come out. And I mean, they're probably still working on it, but the summer of 2020.
Yep.
This May, I mean, it still has a huge impact. People are still talking about this movie, and I think it set really well with people. But this comes out in July of 2020. Like, man, it's a whole nother conversation, you know.
It definitely.
But in not to take away from The Five Bloods, I didn't necessarily really like The Five Bloods, but if this came out instead of The Five Bloods,
I don't know what that movie was trying to accomplish to this day.
Yeah, if this comes out instead of The Five Bloods, where Spike Lee kind of does the same thing that he did in Black Klansman, but better in Black Klansman for sure. But
It accomplished showing us that Delroy Lindo is awesome and Chadwick Boseman is awesome.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but I don't know. I think if this comes out, not instead of that, but like
At that time.
At that time, along with that, I think it does a really good job.
I really wish this had come out like in the before time so we could see it in theaters. Because I feel like part of the Black Klansman like experience for me was like the theater was kind of packed both times that I saw it, because I saw it originally when it first came out, and then it was nominated for Best Picture. So I went to like the Best Picture marathon thing where they just show all the Best Picture nominees. And so both times when I saw it, the theater was kind of packed. And when you get to the end, that final montage, both times it was like heavy in the room. Like you just kind of feel everyone around you being like, well, fuck. Like
this would have been a silent lever. You know what I mean? Like,
I definitely wish we could have had that experience with this movie, because like everybody watching it at home, like it still is like powerful and impactful, but I feel like if we would have had more of those moments, like sitting in the theater just with a bunch of strangers being like, shit, man. Like, I feel like that could have, I feel like that would have been just like a good experience to have with this movie. So I wish we could have seen it in the before times.
They may re-release. I wouldn't be surprised if they re-release some of these movies that do well.
I think that's going to happen. I'm going to see everything.
There's not really because Warner Brothers basically sold their stock to HBO Max. There's not like a whole lot on the marquee or the lineup going once everything opens back up. So it would not be surprising if for a while movie theaters just showed like
Wonder Woman 1984. We got to see it how it was meant to be seen.
I still haven't seen like King of Staten Island. I'll walk to a movie theater to go watch that film. Sure, why not?
Don't waste your $12. Don't waste.
I'll watch anything in the movie theater right now.
Not for 3 hours of Pete Davidson.
Go watch it for the historical documentary of Pete Davidson's tattoos, because apparently he's going to get them all lasered off. So if you just want to like memorialize that
bullshit. All right. So Judas and the Black Messiah. Let's talk about Jesse Plemons really quickly. I know we've kind of waxed poetic about Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield, but for good reason. Jesse Plemons, man, they could have made him a really, and I've heard this on another podcast as well, they could have made him like the figure that sort of learns the lesson from the sage black advice, that whole trope. But like he didn't. He was just a dick the entire movie. Like, and just
so glad they did it that way.
Trope that like suddenly everything's okay because Jesse Plemons decided to have a change of heart on racism.
Well, no, and not even a change of heart. Maybe just like maybe this is bad, but still do the job. He didn't even consider it being bad. He was just like,
well, I mean, he did have that moment in Hoover's office when Hoover's like, "What if your daughter brings up a black guy?" And you could see it in his eyes where it's suddenly like, oh, because before that it's very like he's very law and order. It's very this is what the book says. This is what we're gonna do. And then suddenly, like in the scene in Hoover's office, it becomes suddenly like, oh no, this is something so much more. And he accepts it. Like you could see the shift in his eyes where he's like, oh, okay, all right, this is what I have to do now. This is I'm not dying for my country. I'm dying for a principle alone.
Yeah, I just think he was so like especially towards the end when he's like just trying to get more information from with the Vegas guys of we'll get you out, like, sort of promise.
The same lie every FBI handler's ever said to somebody. Yeah.
Like, just one more. Just we need a little bit more. Just like, dude, fuck.
What a gift, though. Like, there actually was an ending for him. I've never seen like an FBI informant movie where like there is an ending. He gets a gas station, which is a wild gift.
Yes, a wild gift. I also love the fact that like after Fred is killed, he kind of thinks that like, oh, he's gonna get out of this thing, and they kind of show you the scene where you see it's clear that like you're not getting out of this. Like we're gonna use you until we're done using you, and it's just pretty tragic, man. That was the moment where I really felt bad for William O'Neill, which I think is a superhuman feat to accomplish, to make me feel any sense of sadness for that character. Although obviously we all know that the big bad here is the FBI and Hoover specifically. But I think it's a tough. I know a lot of people who came away from the film that never felt a sense of remorse or a sense of sadness for the O'Neill character. But some people did, and I think that just speaks to not only the way it was written, but also to Stanfield's performance, because there is a universe in which that film exists, and
for sure,
everybody thinks that William O'Neill is the biggest piece of shit on earth, and nobody feels bad for him. But they were able to get at least a little bit of sympathy for him from certain viewers, especially me. So I thought that was an accomplishment in itself.
Yeah, for me, it was like him being so young. I was like, "Fuck, man!"
Yeah.
Like, what are you supposed to do? You're a fucking kid. The FBI is like, we got you by the balls, kid. Like,
I wonder, like, a kid wasn't going to be able to portray the emotions that Stanfield did, but like, I wonder what it would have been how this movie would have gone if they were like, we're going to use a 21-year-old and a 17-year-old. I don't think people would have believed it. I think people would have been like, no way. No way.
Like, imagine if the kids looked like the kids on like All American.
Right.
Like this is a very
like Outer Banks, like those.
Yeah. You have very different feelings.
Yeah. You're just like, what? Like, it's so unbelievable how young these people were and like what they accomplished and how well spoken they were. But or how well spoken Fred Hampton was. But at 21, I couldn't file my taxes at 21. You know, like I'm not like I didn't know how to pay for a hotel, just random things, you know, like how does money work? Like, you know what I mean? And he's like feeding children, you know what I mean? On a massive scale and leading rallies.
Crazy. I had to keep reminding myself that he's like, this is a 21-year-old who has accomplished all this and who's making life or death choices of like, no, I'm not leaving Chicago. I'm staying here. Like, it's like, imagine the weight of that. I'm 34. And if I had to make some of those same decisions, like I would just curl to a ball and die. So, you know, it's just really, really, I had to keep reminding myself of like, this is a 21-year-old man.
I don't want to go outside today. Do I have to? People are counting on you. Can they not?
Can they not? Back to William O'Neill. I don't know what this movie would have looked like, but the real William O'Neill attempted suicide the night of Fred Hampton's killing. He tried to jump out a window, and his uncle saved him. And then later on, after I forgot what the documentary he did was.
The interview came out.
Yeah, he ran into traffic.
Oh, what was
it? So like the dude was like, he lived with that guilt for so long, and to finally get it out on tape, dude just ran into traffic. Now, granted, some people do believe that there is conspiracy that he was offed by the FBI for, you know, ratting him out onto a public spectrum. I have no idea. I'm not going to spout that out there, but I mean,
yeah, FBI agent listening to this, we are not saying anything.
Yeah,
I'm not saying anything.
Guys are cool.
G-men are awesome. Fedoras are great. Trench coat's still in style, guys. No, but like, the movie doesn't touch well on O'Neill's life. And Lakeith, like, I mean, he plays ball with very little. Like that, the scene where he knows he's putting Fred to sleep. Like those tears were real. Like that came from a very dark place in Lakeith's life, and like that was incredible. But it doesn't do a great job in showing Bill's life, and so we're kind of left with the pieces of like, he's just a dude that has no allegiance to anything. He has no political ties. He has no agency in his life. Like he just doesn't want to go to prison.
Doesn't even show his family though either. Like if he has a mom or a dad.
He's got nothing. Like we get I mean, we're roasting him half the time because he was a shitty con man trying to steal cars. Like that's a joke that plays out. And so like his agency exists for basically to stand in the middle. And I don't think the movie does a great job of doing justice to a kid that was 17 and was a pawn in the FBI's game. Not even the FBI's game, Jay Hoover's game. So it's dark, but I think that my one critique is that like I wish it was fleshed out a little bit.
Yeah, there's also a couple of times where he's like going for it, like, what do you mean you don't believe that whole
yeah,
like, I'm not guilty. you're guilty.
But I mean, that's what you do. Like that's
Well, the scene in the car is a good example of that, where they basically are kind of onto him, and he's got to basically play it up and hotwire the car. Like, I mean, what can you do?
I was so fucking tense watching that scene, even though like obviously I know
you obviously knew he wasn't gonna die there. Yeah,
but it's like, yo, they got you jammed up, my guy. You were cooked.
Also, like, I had him change the locks. Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, they're just like totally accept that.
You know how you can change the ignition on a steering wheel like that?
Yeah.
Man, and like he did what every kid does. He did the second look. When they go see the crowns, the kings, and he's standing in line, the dude recognizes him, he does the second look. And that's what every kid does when you know you're caught and you want to like play it cool, but you always do the second look.
That's an incredible moment. That dude just cold cocked that guy for walking up on like
do not speak.
Get back in line.
Ooh, dark.
No, I think the action in here was actually for a very heavy just drama movie. I think the shootout with the cops outside of the Black Panther headquarters was intense.
It's well filmed.
I thought it was well filmed.
Yeah.
I thought the shootout between the guy that's running from him in that I don't know, oil field or whatever it is.
Yeah, that was a workplace.
Yeah. Train yard, yeah, was really well done as well too. So like I thought the action sequences kept you on the edge of your seat too. But the funniest thing to me in this entire movie was when Lakeith was like, "I'm gonna go to the roof," and then he just walks out. Like it's like, you bitch! Like he just
this
like
dumbass gets to the roof and he fucking peeks like out the corner and gets shot at.
And he's like, "Fuck that! I'm out. I'm out."
I was watching somebody play God, just like trying to head glitch and get shot at.
I just love that he just walks out. He's like, "Nah, I'm good." And obviously, it's like to not get caught up between, have the FBI come bail you out of jail. But like, it was funny to me.
I doubt Jesse Plemons, had he been arrested, would have been like, "Oh no, spring my guy."
Yeah, absolutely not.
I mean, look what they did to that rebel rouser dude. Like, oof. Yeah, no, nothing. Lakeith is going in and he's never coming out.
I thought the scene between of course the scene between when they're trying to bring everything together and he walks in there and like everyone and their mother is standing in that like balcony or whatever with guns kind of trained on them and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
That was really good. Of course, the I guess white pride party that they go and interrupt.
Yeah,
I thought that was very
Confederate
funny.
flag in Chicago.
I think they were like the Patriots or something like that. Like a very on the nose name, but also probably historically accurate.
I thought Kaluuya was like actually really good in that scene because he was funny and like de-escalated the situation really well, and there was sort of like this smirk on his face, like I'm smarter than everyone in here. Like it was incredible.
Ooh,
yeah,
that person is dangerous.
And you watched it and you were like, "Yo, he's spitting low key." Like,
So yeah, and I think that's probably why he's a supporting actor, because they kind of intercut him between these set pieces and huge speeches, and it's not, and you follow Lakeith around, so that's probably why. But
and he spends a lot of the movie just in jail.
Yeah, that's true. That's also true.
Well, I mean, like, there's a billion movies and books that do it, but like the lowest hanging fruit, like it's a Great Gatsby situation. Like it's actually Nick Harkaway's story, but we learn about Gatsby through him. Yeah. So, like the same thing, like this is not actually Fred Hampton's story, but it's actually Fred Hampton's story. We just need a separate narrator to tell you about it.
Yeah, it's like that Mr. Rogers movie that's not about Mr. Rogers.
Oh yeah. Well, the ultimate bait and switch on that movie. They're like, you're going to follow a sad boy around. Yeah, so I really don't have that many more thoughts. I mean, we can go on and on about how fucking good this movie is and
so good,
how irate it can make you. And I on top of, I was upset leaving the end, just upset at the loss of life of several people, including a 21-year-old father. like that, and and also like people don't have any sympathy for William O'Neill, and I understand where you're coming from, but like I walked out of the movie being like, man, that fucking sucks.
No,
And I saw somebody on Twitter being like, look, you can hate what he did, but he was also like, what are you doing at 17 if they're gonna
like
throw you under the jail for the rest of your life? Like, what are you?
And the real William O'Neill did have like a rap sheet. It wasn't just impersonating an officer and one case of Grand Theft Auto. Like the kid did fuck around a lot. And I mean, he was a kid, as we all do. Like you do stupid shit and he got caught up. So like the real one probably was facing, I mean, Fred Hampton was facing life in prison for stealing ice cream.
Yeah.
So like you can imagine what the real William O'Neill was facing. And like at a 17-year-old, if some dude was like, hey, this could all go away, I just need you to tell me what's happening in this one room during a couple
and we'll pay you.
Yeah, and we'll pay you. We'll give you whatever you want. We'll give you a job. We'll give you clean legal money for the rest of your life.
I think
immediately take that. Like he's a kid that
I'll take the thing where I don't go to prison, thanks.
For sure.
I think it's like a movie. This is some movie magic, but you get this like O'Neill's facing 5 years, in which gets him into this situation, but also Fred Hampton later in the film is facing 5 years, and he just takes the time. Like, I'll just do the time. Like, it's fine.
Oh yeah.
Like, I definitely thought that was some movie magic of trying to juxtaposition the way that two young Black people approach the same. Yeah, like but I don't think that in actuality, I think O'Neill was facing more time, or Fred Hampton wasn't facing 5 years. I just think that they did that to kind of draw a parallel there.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I left the movie just extremely sad and more so than I can understand being angry, and I was like just so angry that people can just walk into a home and not feel any remorse for killing people in cold blood, like in the name of your government. Like, what the fuck is that? What fascist shit is what is that? Like, but like I just walked out, or walked to the fridge. Just
close the laptop, just like
just like close the laptop, like fuck.
Yeah.
I was
just sad, man. I was just sad the rest of the night, honestly.
I did the Narcos meme where I just stood out in a field and stared out, and then I went to
in an empty pool, just staring.
What did y'all think of the decision? The way they filmed the scene where Fred Hampton is killed by framing it by viewing it through the eyes of his girlfriend, so you don't really. I just thought that was it was like a perfect tonal decision. You don't necessarily have like it's so graphic, like you don't actually have to show this person being shot in the head like while he's asleep. Like you literally could just show it's just such a moving way of presenting it. They've already done all the work to build up the character of the girlfriend and that relationship, and it really pays off in that moment because you are experiencing the death of Fran Hampton through her feelings and her eyes and her.
For sure.
Obviously, she's still in a very precarious situation, so she can't even fully emote yet, but you see that she emotes a little bit. Got to get it back together because like I still got to make sure that I am safe and all the other people in the house are still safe, so that like I can't even pause for a second to grieve the fact that the person I love is like gone from the universe. Like I just thought the way that is not what you see from somebody who's directing their second film. It's just that is a decision you see from a Scorsese or from someone who's done those kind of scenes 5 or 6 times, so they could really test out what ways are more effective at moving the audience. And so just to see somebody do that is directing their second film was just like that is those are the touches of somebody who's special. I just thought that the way that they chose to do that was super, super respectful, but also like important and very powerful.
Respectful is the key word there, because I was like, you just didn't need to see a.
Yeah, you really didn't.
I mean, unless you're Quentin Tarantino and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and you get to reimagine the past, like that scene would have served no purpose to actually have the camera follow the 2 officers and like watching him shoot the guy in the head. Like going into that movie, even if you didn't know who Fred Hampton is, you know what's going to happen in the end. You know it's not going to be that Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya like hold hands and run off into the sunset happy as can be. Like he's dying at the end, even if you know nothing about this history.
Yeah, because if you don't know who Fred Hampton is, I mean, he probably didn't make it. Because you could hear about him today.
You know who J. Edgar Hoover is, and you don't know who Fred Hampton is. You can probably guess how this film ends.
The Wooding side gets to write the history, so like you knew what was going to happen. So it would have served absolutely no purpose to have taken that extra 2 scenes and gone in the room. Like it would have. In fact, it probably would have detracted from the film ultimately, because then it becomes like a horror thing. Like it's like, oh, look how much blood we can shove into this 2-second scene, especially after coming from like 2 seconds before that. Like you see a guy who has to walk out where his legs are shot to hell.
God, that looked like ass. That's
like agony. Like, and that's the bloodiest it gets. So,
I mean, the only way that it like that makes sense is if it's like Malcolm X, where it was so public that it'd be impossible to kind of avoid showing that. But even then, you still could have. But I think where she conveys more emotion, Tej, than in that moment is when they're in the church and there's a hold on her when he's saying he's gonna die for his cause, and like she kind of all of a sudden realizes, oh shit, like not only am I pregnant, but I kind of realize now that
I'm signing up to do this alone, basically.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And that's the moment I thought that was great from her, is when
that's a crushing scene. Yeah. Because you know how it's going to end. You know exactly, the thought that came to her in that moment is literally going to come to fruition. So it's just like, it's crushing. It's like,
there's several storylines going, and that's why that scene is so powerful, because it's like you're captivated by Kaluuya's rhythm and timing and acting and performance, but there's also several other storylines going on within the confines of that scene. You have the back and forth between Lakeith Stanfield and Jesse Plemons, and them just staring at each other like it's an old Western. And then you have her being like, oh shit, he may actually die for this. And then, you have the other parties, agreeing in approval of what's going on.
Incredible, because like, you feel so good hearing Daniel Kaluuya as Fred Hampton speak and like give that speech, but then like you see Jesse Plemons and you're fucking terrified, and you see I forget what her name is, but you see her and you're just like, oh shit, like this is all going to hell. But while Daniel Kaluuya is speaking, you're still just like, fuck yeah, let's go. I am a revolutionary.
They draw you into it. You're watching the scene like you're at the rally, and it's like, holy shit, this is some captivating shit. And then boom, Jesse Plemons is in the crowd. You're just like, oh fuck, like all the enjoyment that I had of that scene is over. Like we can't enjoy this moment because this is the beginning of the end, and it's been signified in the film. And I just thought that was such a smart decision. It's just so smart to let people sit and listen to Fred Hampton speak for that long, and then just like, by the way, Jesse Plemons is in here. You didn't realize that, but like, yeah, everything's gone to shit. What you think is happening in the film is not happening in the film. Everything's gone to shit right now. And it's just like, it's just such a good decision. That's just movie chops. Like, that's just such a great decision.
Love how Jesse Plemons is wearing the "I'm Not a Cop" 101 outfit. Like,
he looked like he was about to go try to score some drugs.
Yeah, is this what freedom fighters wear?
Do I have enough denim? Can this beanie also be made of denim? I think they're wearing a lot of denim.
He's like the only clean-shaven white person in that whole thing. They're just like, I am not a Fed.
Which, again, to this movie's credit, great denim work. There's some great
outfits in here were incredible.
Incredible hats.
Incredible. It's an incredible movie for beret lovers, an incredible movie for cargo jacket lovers.
Yep. Looks like an off-brand Bon Iver in that scene.
He does. The only failed outfit in this movie is the first scene with Fred Hampton, and he's wearing that camo bucket hat. That's a weird choice.
I'm going to pause this, but I did not realize before this film how beautiful Daniel Kaluuya was. Like,
gorgeous.
He radiates on screen. I couldn't take my eyes off the guy. Like, he's
boy in this movie
so
too.
Good looking, and it's just like, wow, like that guy's got it. That guy, he can do whatever the hell he wants to do in Hollywood, man. He's just got everything.
He put on some weight to portray Fred Hampton too, as well, which was kind of understated, but yeah.
It's strength weight. Like, he looks like he's benching 3 plates for fun.
Yeah.
Like, he is thick.
He's got it, man. Like,
it's scary how much he's got it. They need to let Brian Tyree Henry play a black person who died, so he can get out of the park too. We need that. We need this, bro. We need this badly.
They both occupy some kind of the same. I mean, obviously, Kaluuya's taking a step ahead, but they both occupy sort of the same space in my mind.
I think they're going to
Well.
end up even at some point. They're going to end up. We're going to look back and we're going to end up even at some point. But it's just
sure.
he's got to. When Kaluuya had Get Out, and then now he's got this one. Brian Tyree Henry's got to be the leading man, or basically the leading man, or the supporting role in a film that just like completely bangs and goes crazy. And he's been in a lot of good shit, but he hasn't been in anything that like, at least in like a large enough role in anything that's like super super dope. But it's going to happen. He's going to get his moment
For sure.
We haven't talked about the scene.
Kaluuya had it when I saw Widows, and he was the best part of that movie, being on screen for like 10
He's only on
minutes.
screen for like 10 minutes. He literally stole the film.
There's in Sicario, he has one very specific scene. The scene is like right after they go to like Tucson or Phoenix or something to like speak to people being deported, and Daniel Kaluuya shows up, and for like when he shows up, he takes a beat and does like a model pose in a very tense scene because it's right when we're trying to like figure out what's really happening. But like he poses like next to the car and he gives you these eyes like, oh, I'm in love with this man. He's too beautiful.
Make Kaluuya that black cowboy that we're talking about on Twitter today.
Yeah, shout out.
Sicario is a super dark film, man. That film is depressing, but it's so good.
And then they fucked it up so hard with the second movie.
They literally just made it into like an action movie, and I was like, "What is this? Like, where's the grittiness that we had in this first film? Where's the edge of this film?
Where's the scathing review of the U.S. government?
Yes,
and how they're fighting secret wars, but also funding drug cartels. Nope. Now we're just gonna make it a fight movie. Okay,
it's gonna be on every TV in America. Nope, won't even make the papers in El Paso. It's my favorite line from any movie. Is nope, won't even make the papers in El Paso, and they just killed people on a highway.
What a film, man!
Yeah, so that is our discussion. Go ahead.
I have
some more notes.
It's only one other scene, and it's the scene right before the "I Am Revolution" speech, and it's right after the kid, or it might be right after, but it's when Daniel Kaluuya goes and visits the mother of the kid that basically shot up all the kid or all the cops at the train depot or wherever that was, and she's trying to make it a happy face, but then she finally breaks and she says like, yeah, he did all that stuff. Like he did shoot the cops, but that shouldn't be his legacy. And I truly think that is Shaka King's like summary of this film of like history books, whatever does exist of Fred Hampton in a history book probably is heavier on the side of like, he was a Black Panther. And I don't know if, these police shootings really did happen. I'm sure they did, because I know this movie tried to be as historically accurate as possible. But to insert a line that would be like, this shouldn't be his legacy, I think is truly telling. I think it is what ultimately Shaka King was going for. Of like, what you read about Fred Hampton is not his legacy. He's not just a guy that was in the Black Panther Party that ultimately was assassinated. Like his legacy is that he tried to bring the disenfranchised together. Like he tried to protect people. He tried to feed the hungry. He essentially fought a tyrannical, unjust system and died for it just because.
And not just died for it, but either knew or was well aware of the risk that he would die for it. And he was like, I'm willing to do that. I'll die for the people because
at
I love
21, dude. Like that's so fucking great. 21 years old, being like, yeah, I'm ready to die for this shit. Like,
gotta tell y'all, I'm not dying for this podcast. I'm
not.
So quick.
I'm not. And like, like there's a lot of people who are very involved in politics now and are like very about activism and things like that. But like most of us, we ain't trying to die for this shit. Like,
nope.
If it really came down to it. But Fred Hampton at 21 was like, yeah, fuck it. I am about the people. I will die for the people. Like,
oh, a scene that I missed that is sort of like one of the biggest scathing reviews and how frightening this whole situation is when they invite that guy who's supposed to be sort of like a not a refugee, but like a person on the hideout from the feds who they killed somebody, but he's actually the informant and they just killed someone to get the other Black Panthers off of his trail.
He called somebody else an informant and killed them while being an informant.
And then he and Lakeith are having that conversation where neither one knows that they're actually informants.
You want to talk about tense? You want to talk about tense?
I had forgotten about that scene. It is intense.
That shit was so intense.
Yeah, and then he learns. Wait, he wasn't. Jesse Plemons learns like, wait, he's not the actual informant. He's like, no, what?
Which is
he's okay. He's like, okay to it's he learns that the U.S. government it's okay to kill people like
basically
with impunity rather
with impunity to maintain your cover.
Which is a truly wild
immunity. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It's truly a wild scene to have Jesse Plemons go through that motion because in real life there was like something like 9-10 informants working the Chicago chapter alone. Like,
which is absolutely wild.
William O'Neill was not the only one. Like, there were multiple that didn't know of each other. So in real life, whoever Jesse Plemons' real character is absolutely knew who that person was.
Yes.
And I don't know how that scene would have played out. I don't know how it would have worked on the script. And I guess they just didn't want to make Jesse Plemons that, overt villain of like, of course, let them kill each other. It's fun that way. But I think it would have been a little bit of extra spice had Jesse Plemons been like, oh no, the guy that killed was not the informant. Like, what are you talking about?
It's kind of a funny beat. It's kind of a funny beat from Lakeith where he's like, shit, I would have killed him like twice.
Shit.
Yeah, I wouldn't there.
Yeah. You wouldn't even know what I would have done to him. You're like, okay. He's just sort of like, oh god. He got home. He's like,
we forgot to talk about the truly wildest scene. He gets the sleep drugs, the powder, the whatever it is from a pimp.
Literally.
Lil Ray Howard.
And by the way, Little Rel does a great job when he's like, "Hey, baby, it ain't nothing. Like, it's all right, baby. Like, I'm just gonna like." He just does such a great job in the scene. I appreciated his performance because he's just so cool. He's just like, "Hey, I ain't saying nothing. Listen, I'll just drop this here. Like, whatever you want to do with it, I'm just gonna leave now. Like, I'm gone." Like,
he basically would have been like, "I've never seen that powder in my life." You just gave it to me. What?
Maybe I'm mistaken. Like, my bad. Maybe I made a mistake. I just thought it was like such a cool. He's so cool, calm, and collected, which is the exact opposite of what William O'Neill is in that scene. I'm like, who the fuck are you? Why are you talking to me? Why are you giving me random shit? And he's just like, hey, baby, it's cool.
Then gives him his ID, his fake ID.
Another great Coach Boone moment, just sitting on that banana, being like, he's gonna ask for it eventually, and bam.
Oh man, yeah, that was almost like a horror scene. Like he's like, "Who are you? What are you doing?" And he's just like, "I'm not here." What do you mean?
I'll be honest, like that scene, I was like, "Okay, I've lost the plot here a little bit." Like, not gonna lie, I was like,
it was poorly misconstrued. I think its intended purpose was that to show that
we're watching you.
Well, not even that, because I don't think he was a G-man. Like, I don't think he was in the FBI. I think it was just another informant that was stuck in the game that, like, his handler was like, hey, you need to hand this guy this stuff. That's your job today.
I read it as he was like in the FBI, but that I'm a dumb person. Yeah. Anything else, guys? Anything else we got to talk about regarding Judas and the Black Messiah? All-time title. This is a great title for a movie.
Great title.
Yeah. So we are going to be drafting black biopics, African American biopics.
I just want to point out that this is like the first of the straight to HBO Max movies that was actually good. Like,
yes,
they gave us a banger here instead of giving us fucking Wonder Woman 1984 and The Little Things.
A movie that sucked so bad we didn't even talk about.
I didn't even watch The Little Things. I saw so many bad reviews and I said, never mind.
So boring.
I'm also not a huge Jared Leto fan, but that's a different conversation.
Well,
that movie set out to accomplish nothing and it accomplished nothing. It was a True Detective episode that they're like, but what if it was like a movie? But like
2 hours long.
What if we scraped off like all the underlying tension and the fear that's in True Detective, and we also put Sam Raimi in there, who's just gonna mumble his way, see what happens.
So boring. Didn't do anything. That movie sucked.
But yeah, HBO Max finally gave us one. Thank you.
Way to go, team.
I'm gonna see. I am gonna see Kong, Godzilla versus Kong in theaters.
I am.
Since Texas is now open, guys. Didn't you get the message?
Oh, I'm gonna take a day off work, and I'm gonna have that movie on repeat.
I'm gonna pay the $150 to have that theater to myself so I can watch that movie.
Oh, I'd be here for that. Man, I just found out that Alamo declared bankruptcy and is like selling to like a brokerage firm or something. So I don't even know what to do anymore. I don't know what theater I'm gonna rent out.
We got to decide what movie we're gonna do. We'll do that at the end of the episode. But we are drafting black biopics. So what was the order?
I'm
I was
last.
up first.
Dex, Jake, Royden, Teej. Dex, Jake, Royden, Teej. Top 4 black biopics.
Calling it now, Royden's gonna get lost in the sauce at the turn going into the second round.
Yes. Maybe.
All right, so I'm up first. Honestly, like this would be a draft where I would trade back if I could. Like,
Get more value.
yeah, I don't really know what to pick number 1 overall. Like, obviously there's a lot of great black biopics, but like picking a number 1 overall pick for me is
It's a
tough.
tough spot.
Yeah. I do have a question though, a clarification. Are we allowing for technically mini series?
Sure.
No, you can't pick the Temptations.
Fuck you. With my first pick, I'm picking the Temptations.
That's fine.
Damn.
I love the Temptations.
Incredible.
Legitimately, like that was one of our, like at my house, that was one of our like Sunday, like we were cleaning the house things. Like either we would put on gospel music or we would put on the Temptations miniseries. So I grew up watching that series. I didn't realize it was a miniseries until I was like grown.
Yeah, me neither. I thought it was a film.
Yeah, because we just watched it like straight through as like one long ass movie, but I didn't find out until I was an adult that it's like technically 2 parts. But yeah, man, like iconic line after iconic line. Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis, is a part of my everyday vocabulary. I just love the Temptations. So like I said, I would have traded back in the draft.
Oh, you actually were taking it. I thought we were just like riffing on that. Well done. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm taking it. I would trade back
That's
if I
fine.
could, but since I'm number 1 overall, fuck it. Temptations.
Sometimes you can take a
Wow.
kicker in the first. There's no shame in that.
All right, Jake.
I mean, like it number 1 all it is the Christian McCaffrey. It's sitting right here. It is Malcolm X.
Brother starving.
Oh,
So
so
stuff.
good. And there's so you can tell there was a lot of inspiration from Malcolm X and Spike Lee that was put into Judas and the Black Messiah. There's a couple of
Definitely.
scenes that like are really good homages to him. Homages. Somebody hit me on my DMs on Twitter because I said homages a couple of episodes ago.
Homages.
It's like it's homages. I was like, thank you
A
for listening.
homage is what we're looking for.
It's or divorce.
Or divorce.
No, it's good. And
Menendez Day.
one of the greatest travesties of all time was Al Pacino winning Best Actor for Scent of a Woman, a bullshit nonsense movie that is just crap. And Denzel should have won Best Actor for Malcolm X because that movie is just it is a masterpiece. It is
Can
incredible.
I admit something?
You like Scent of a Woman?
You never seen Scent of a Woman?
No, I haven't seen Malcolm X in full.
I also haven't seen Malcolm X in full,
you
which is why I didn't
absolutely-
pick
It's
it.
about 19 hours, but you have to watch it.
Yeah,
I will. That's the reason I haven't watched it because it's all the way through. Because I
It's extremely
ended like
long.
3 hours, really 4
It's
hours.
extremely long, but it's a great watch.
yeah. It's. I mean, it is stupid long.
Top notch Denzel.
Yeah, it
We
is.
have
It
been
is.
bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray, run amok.
Yeah, it is. It is Denzel throwing heaters for the
Yeah.
whole time.
He was getting
Never
bars
Covers
off.
like
He was
10
really
decades.
getting bars off.
And once again, movies tend to replace history, so people tend to
Holy
think.
shit, this movie is 3 hours and 22
Yeah.
minutes long. Oh god,
It's long, man.
damn.
We
Sorry,
have
Jake.
podcasts that are longer.
But it
Movies
is a banger.
movies tend to replace history in people's mind because it's easier to consume than actually reading a book. And Malcolm X, the movie, it tends to exist in people's mind as the actual Malcolm X. And once again, it's a little off and serves its own purposes, but like Spike Lee kept it as close to the real person as he could. So even if you just want to watch it in historical context, it's an incredible film.
Got to cover a lot. Got to cover a lot of shit leading up.
Oh
for
yeah,
Malcolm X's, even though he had a short life, but
there was every era that they cover in the film has relevant things to the rest of the film. So
movie covered like 3 decades though of his life.
You can't even figure out where the cuts would be, but you just know that something needs to be cut, but you can't really tell what needs to be cut. So you just enjoy it.
My number 1 overall pick is He Got Game. No, just kidding.
I'm about to say, wait, who's that film?
Jesus Shuttlesworth.
Is that a Ray Allen biopic?
Yeah. Jesus Shuttlesworth. No, I've taken this before, and I'll always take this in any biopic draft that we do. Straight Outta Compton is one of my favorite films of the last decade for sure. That also being like O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s first film. You know, it's so fucking good, man, and so incredibly well paced, and just for a biopic about a group that lasted how many years was NWA? Like 4?
Not many.
Yeah, like it made 2 albums, one without Ice Cube. Like
he's got fucked up very fast.
Yeah, like it's so quickly paced and entertaining, and just for a tough story, just a fun watch. You know, that's tough to say about their struggle, but it is sort of just a fun, entertaining watch. Especially when they're like pointing guns at other people in hotel rooms, and like, just it's so cool. Yeah, that's what I would say. It's a cool movie. It is just a cool movie. So yeah, Straight Outta
Compton. A movie that teaches you the horrors of Suge Knight.
Ooh, god damn.
Not the only movie that teaches you those horrors, but definitely one of them.
There are so many horrors.
I'm going to call you out and say that was a dumb pick. You should have actually taken the original Straight Outta Compton, Chris Rock's CB4. That's a joke, I think, only for Tej, but I'm happy to throw it out there.
Love that movie.
It was the Straight Outta Compton before Straight Outta Compton. If anybody cares, Chris Rock parodies NWA amongst other early 90s rap and hip-hop groups.
Incredible performance.
It's actually a really good movie.
It's really stupid, but it's really funny.
Yeah, it's really good.
Y'all left the number 1 overall seed on the board.
I don't believe that. I took Malcolm X. It is off the board.
Okay, Malcolm X is probably number 1 seed, but the second greatest black biopic of all time, which might be the first greatest black biopic of all time, is easily What's Love Got to Do with It. It's the greatest film of all time. It is incredible. You go back and watch that shit today, it just bangs. Lawrence Fishburne is incredible. Angela Bassett is incredible.
Oh, is that the Tina Turner one?
Yes. Oh my god. It's just, so that is my favorite black biopic by far. My second choice is going to be a bit of a deep cut because a lot of people haven't seen this film, but it is a film that I love. And it is called Why Do Fools Fall in Love? It is the biopic of Frankie Lyman, who is a musician. And, you know, like most biopics that deal with musicians, there are ups and there are downs, and there are high points of his career and low points of his career. But the greatest scene in black cinema history is he is on a coke bender at his house. And he is just like cheating with random women, cheating on his wife, just being a complete piece of shit. And the mailman comes to the door to deliver a package, and he opens the door. And the mailman looks at him and looks at the parcel and says, "Frankie Lyman, I thought you were dead." And the look on Frankie Lyman's face when this mailman thought that he was dead is the greatest moment in black cinema history. So I'm taking Why Do Fools Fall in Love.
Damn, there is some fucking Vivica A. Fox, Halle Berry. Damn.
All of them play women that he was just like randomly sleeping with and breaking their hearts. It is the wildest film. It is so much fun. But Frankie Lyman lived a wild fucking life.
Clifton Powell's in this movie too with Lorenz Tate. This is just a Ray remake.
Lorenz Tate is the lead of this film, and Lorenz Tate never got his flowers of being black cinema excellence for like 10 years running. He was fucking bodying everything, and he doesn't get his flowers. Anyway, support Lorenz Tate.
All right. My next pick, tough one. I'm gonna go with American Gangster.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just mostly for Denzel smashing that dude's head in a piano and
That's
shooting
alpaca.
and shooting
You block
Idris,
that shit.
You blocked that shit.
and then shooting. What you gonna do, Frank? Shoot me in the middle of the street?
For everybody?
What? What are you gonna do? Stab me, man who was stabbed? I mean, I'll watch that scene just over and over again on YouTube just for the comedy of it. It's
What are you
incredible.
going to do? Shoot
Shoot
me
me,
in the
Frank?
middle of the day in front of everybody?
Just kills him dead. It's incredible, and they're just like Common and everybody else are like, "Oh shit!" Like it's great, and it's also a pretty good Russell Crowe performance as well. It's way too long. The movie's way too long.
And also half the Russell Crowe stuff you could cut. But
Yeah,
the funniest thing of that film is that this film was being worked in Hollywood. And of course, Jay-Z did the soundtrack / album for it. But Jay-Z really wanted to play Frank Lucas. But then we got a fucking Denzel doing like Pete Denzel. And it's laughable that Jay-Z ever thought that he had a chance to star in this film.
when you see what Denzel does,
That was so good. He's so good in the film. Like, Jay-Z can't act. Like, what are we doing?
he has the most Denzel walk swagger I've ever seen. Like the joke about Denzel walking, like it's the American Gangster Training Day walk. Like he just takes it to another, where it's like the shoulders and the I don't know, just the limp. It's incredible.
That's Pete Denzel, strong, silent type, complete wild man cinema. He's just going for it. He's just so good. I love that film.
Denzel is one of the coolest like
dudes
who has ever existed. Like every time that he gets to like talking real fast about whatever the fuck, he's just fucking cool all the time.
It's Blue Magic. That's a brand name. It's like Coke.
They know that better than they know Pepsi.
What are you gonna do? Shoot me, Frank? In the middle of the street?
In front of everybody.
I love that film.
Man says nothing and just shoots him straight in the face.
There you go, 20%. Oh, all right, Jake.
There's one I want to take, but I'm pretty sure I can get it at the turn. So, look, I get it. This was kind of a partially hated movie, but I always love it because I do love American history. And to see it told through somebody that is low-key forgotten in the eyes of history that had kind of a big impact, I'm going to take The Butler. Lee Daniels, The Butler.
Boo.
Boo.
That movie was the all-time Oscar baitiest movie and got absolutely nothing.
For sure.
Just nothing.
Amongst everything Lee Daniels has ever accomplished, quote, nothing. That's all that movie is. It's just, please give me an award. Please, for the love of God.
God, give me an Oscar. Basically.
It's member berries for presidents. Remember Reagan?
Oh, yeah. No, it's really. But
he was a president.
Yeah. I mean, the scene of Jackie still covered in blood, like, no, that was shot specifically for, like, look what we could put on the Oscars when we win.
I want to say it was nominated for something. Sorry, go ahead.
It was nominated. I think it was nominated for a couple of things, but truly, like, it is not a great film, but to tell the story of a guy that like was a butler for presidents and a servient position that actually had historical impact. Like, cool. Terrible way to tell it. Did a shitty job of it, but still, like, it is a cool story.
It was nominated for 2 BAFTAs.
Oh, thanks, British.
Yeah.
And an AARP Annual Movie for Grown Up Award.
I'm sorry, the AARP is handing out movie for grown-ups?
I did not know that, but that's incredible that I need to attend this award show.
Lee Daniels, the butler, was on the front page of Redbox outside of every CVS for 3 years.
I bet you could probably, write them like a quick email, be like, hey, can I get tickets to this? And the AARP festival people would be like, absolutely, nobody attends this. Please come fill seats.
I mean, this year, yeah, nobody's coming to the AARP.
Well, I bet
maybe they'll all be vaccinated. They're in the first group.
This is true. I gotta say though, like, I forget who it was. I think it was what the fuck is his name? Doesn't matter. Somebody once made like an observation about a movie that it was like something that could only like we would only think is good in the Obama era. Like after Trump came around, that's some shit we would never like do again. That's how I feel about The Butler. Like that
Sure.
shit would only exist under an Obama presidency. Nobody
sure.
like post 2016 would be like, you know what would be a great idea? Movie about this black butler.
It was during
Green
those
Book was just like,
it was during those 8 years when we thought for sure we just cured racism. Like it's over, it's done with. It is a nice time capsule.
guys, black president, everything's okay.
It's done. It's done. Systematic oppression over.
Yeah, you told me that, Dex. I think you said that's the most Obama era movie ever. You told
I'm
me
not
that
sure
one.
I agree with Dex. I think somebody would still have the audacity to make that shit, and we're gonna see a movie like it in like 2 years.
They
just
made
Coming
Green
to
Book.
America. They just made Green Book, and they just made Coming to America 2, which literally the plot driving device they use is a date rape, and they're just like, yeah, 2021, throw it out there. It literally like that happened.
Shout out to my father-in-law who did watch it. Way to go, Toby. I will never, but thank you for telling me not to watch it.
Dex, second pick. Second and third pick.
All right, so this is another one that I like grew up on and I've seen probably too many times, but it's Lean on Me. I just fucking love that movie.
That was my next pick.
Dude, that movie's so good for
It's the
no reason.
greatest film of all time.
It has
You
no-
smoke crack, don't you?
you start out.
Oh, that's the Morgan Freeman principle.
Free
huh?
Mr.
Yeah.
Clark. Free
Yeah.
Mr.
Shout
Clark.
out to Joe Clark, dude. That movie starts out on 10. They like play Welcome to the Jungle, and then you're like see like a bunch of rapes and like kids getting stabbed at school and shit. Like
He walks around with a bat and said, "Call me Batman." It's incredible performance. Morgan Freeman is a hero. I just love it.
you smoke crack, don't you? And like honestly, like the East Side like song or whatever will be sung at family gatherings and in my family, like after everybody's had a little bit of alcohol. Just
Man, that film is-
Side.
A lot of people have never seen that film, and that is an American classic. That shit is incredible. It has everything.
If you have BET, like how have you not seen that movie before?
That's
'Cause it
true.
was on literally every single weekend.
That's
Do you
peak
think-
Morgan Freeman right there.
Do
That
you
shit is
think Royd
incredible.
Ogletree's household was watching BET in Livingston, Texas?
Yes.
Yes.
Dan.
I'm going with yes. You were watching BT Uncut with the rest of us. I'm going with yes.
All right, and then my next pick after that.
God damn it. That ruined my draft.
I'm gonna go with a recent one. I'm gonna go with Hidden Figures.
Sure.
Yeah, I
was leaning on maybe taking that one.
that movie's just delightful. Like it just feels so good, so pleasant.
Disneyfication aside, the film just feels great. It's just
Yeah.
great. And Janelle Monáe is in it, which is always a great thing. So
Janelle Monáe, like apparently, like does not miss. I mean, I didn't see that like weird
That
slavery
Antebellum movie.
Yeah,
I didn't see Antebellum, but
Oh,
it
don't.
didn't look great.
I
Didn't you watch it,
pretend-
Jake?
I
It is
pretend
a
I do not see
travesty.
it.
It is a
It's a
travesty on
travesty.
wheels. Like
I love Janelle Monáe. I'm gonna get high and watch it one day. I am in love with Janelle Monáe. I'm literally going to get high and watch it.
In my head canon, Janelle Monáe has only done Moonlight and Hidden Figures, and that's it. Yeah, like I pretend I do not see it when it comes to Antebellum, but yeah, Hidden Figures is great.
God.
The soundtrack is
movie.
really good. Pharrell did his thing. I still listen to some of the songs on the soundtrack every now and then. Taraji P. Henson gave a great performance. It's a movie that just feels good to watch, you know. And I think we need more of that, you know, just celebrating Black women and just feeling good real quick watching a movie. So
Her best performance, her most notable performance outside of
It's probably Moonlight.
no, not Janelle.
Taraji
Taraji.
P. Henson.
Oh,
I really, to be honest with you, I don't even know like what role made
I'm
Taraji P.
gonna
Henson
go with
famous.
Hidden
She's just
I'm gonna go with
around.
Hidden Figures.
It's
She
her
sho-
most. I mean, she was nominated for an Oscar for that for sure.
Yeah,
She shows up in a movie I wanted to take, but nobody really knows her. It was a movie that kind of fell under the radar.
And of course, you have Kevin Costner in that movie being like, "We all piss the same." Like it's just
God, the Kevin Costner stuff in that film is just so bad. It's just awful.
It's
But
the
otherwise,
ultimate
the film is
Disneyfication white savior shit.
otherwise the film is pretty good. It feels good.
The one thing that's weird is that they have Sheldon Cooper be the racist, which is like, eh.
That was a bold choice.
Yeah, it's not very menacing, but guess you don't have to be.
Yeah,
Jake?
there are plenty of not menacing racists.
Yeah, that's true.
It just felt weird watching.
It just felt weird watching Sheldon Cooper be racist. Janelle Monáe was also in that Welcome to Marwen film, which tanked.
Oh, it was terrible. It was.
I pretend
awkward.
I do not see it.
It's awkward. It's janky. It's not great.
Ooh, Antebellum got a 28% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Big yikes! Big yikes!
All right, Jake.
I'm happy to take this. I'm taking another Denzel vehicle. That's fantastic. I'm taking The Hurricane.
Great film.
It's a great movie. Another travesty. He deserved to have won the Oscar. He got beat out by Kevin Spacey in American Beauty.
Yeah, that hasn't aged well, especially because American Beauty fucking is a steamy pile of shit. So
yeah.
Oh, really?
I hate that film. First of all, Kevin Spacey is creepy. And literally the plot of this film is Kevin Spacey is creepy.
It's creepy.
I don't know if I could rewatch that movie now, honestly.
It has no rewatchability at all. And
it doesn't.
You want to see the most beautiful thing in the world? Trash bag. I'll tweet that occasionally when I see like a floating bag in like a Walmart parking lot or something like that, and nobody gets it. No one understands it. I'm just tweet. You want to see the most beautiful thing in the world?
The correct reference is to say, "Do you ever feel like a plastic bag?" The Katy Perry reference will work better than the American Beauty.
Right.
No, Hurricane is great. Look,
what is the Hurricane about? I've never heard of this movie.
An imprisoned boxer.
Yeah. Boxer was he wrongfully imprisoned?
Yes.
Yes, he was.
He unfortunately is mostly well known because Bob Dylan was a huge advocate for him, actually like visiting him in prison constantly, and wrote a song called The Hurricane, which is very fun and catchy and basically dusts over the fact that this guy is just wrongfully imprisoned because he happens to be black. So I guess get a history lesson from Bob Dylan if you just want a 3-minute backstory on it. I forgot Sam Mendes did American Beauty. Oh,
he did.
Boy. Oh boy.
Hey, 1917 happened, and so
yeah, like he grew up like he hit Road to Perdition right after.
He did the best James Bond movie, so
he did do Skyfall.
It was all worth it.
My next pick is one. I don't think it's the best movie in the world, and we talked wax poetic about it and made fun of it till no end.
Once again, The Butler has already been taken. So I don't know what you're trying to do here, but it's already off the board.
I think he's gonna go with The Help. He's like, I'm just gonna go with The Help.
Oh God, Jesus. Eat my shit.
I'm taking Emma Stone to The Help because she doesn't see color, and neither do I.
God. All right, I'm gonna go with Ray. Had to come off the board eventually.
Great value here. Great value.
Listen to our Ray episode. I was not a part of it, but listen to it anyway.
One of our funnier episodes, I will say, just because we make fun of a blind guy. But
we make fun of the
surroundings,
fucking the blind guy.
Yeah, the surroundings of the it falls into the biopic stereotypes of that are just made fun of so hard in Dewey Cox, and we talked about it at length. But it's you don't want to do this drug, Ray. I kind of want to do the drugs. But it's an all-time performance from Jamie Foxx, and one that will live on.
Part of this shit.
Yeah, it'll live on forever, and his portrayal as Ray is incredible. Now the story gets lost a little bit in and of itself. They cure racism, if you didn't know, by the end of the movie,
with just a song.
That's
all they have to.
It's
been cured.
Yeah,
the state of Georgia apologized officially, and so that absolved them of all the racism.
True.
But yeah, it's very stereotypical biopic schlock is what I was looking for as the word. But it's still surrounded by a great performance by
Is it my
Jamie
turn?
Foxx. Yes,
Am I picking 2 or just picking 1?
2.
Yeah,
So-
you take us to the fourth.
Even though my next film happens to star Matthew Broderick, I'm getting great value here. I'm going with Glory. You get 10.
Yeah.
You get
Absolutely.
Morgan Freeman, Denzel Washington. There's really nothing more to say there. It's a great film.
I think
Get
that
the
was
Glory
Denzel's
tier?
first Oscar too.
Get the Glory tier. Peak meme. Great Denzel performance. And then for my next pick, I'm gonna go with Ryan Coogler's film that I will never watch again. Fruitvale Station. It's great. It gave us Michael B. Jordan as a movie star. It's really, really effective. I will never watch it again, but I will draft it here.
No desire to watch that movie is
Yeah.
upsetting.
I gotta
will
be
never
honest,
watch it
dude.
again.
I haven't watched it the first time because I don't want to. I don't want to feel bad.
That is a hard. You want to talk about on the heartstrings? That isn't. I couldn't even be that mad. I was just so incredibly sad and empty, and I just said, "Oh, I'm not repeating that experience. I enjoyed that film. I'll say all the good things about it in the world. I would recommend it to anyone. I will never watch it again."
What's the thing with like people and Michael B. Jordan all of a sudden?
People are out on Michael B. Jordan right
people
now.
are really out on Michael B. Jordan.
I'm not a part of those people. I think Michael B. Jordan's great.
Yeah,
I don't
me
think
either.
he's like. I don't think he's Kaluuya level, like that kind of level.
No.
But I think Michael B. Jordan's great.
Doesn't have to
And
be.
Listen, I'll put on Creed and do an edible and have the time of my life every time. He gained like 50 pounds of muscle for that film. It was beating the shit out of everybody. Just sign me up. I'm in.
Just
I'm
so
always
over
in.
the top in Black Panther.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Well,
like,
I
if you're
just
gonna
love
watch,
him.
if you're gonna pop an edible and watch Creed, I'll just pop an edible and watch him taking off his shirt and revert, like over and over again in Black Panther. And he's like all the little dots for all the people he's killed. Like, ooh, play that over and over again. That's fine.
He's just
I
one
like
of
Michael B.
those
Jordan.
movie star people that you're like, that's Michael B. Jordan in every role that he plays. But I'm on board. I'm with it. Let's go.
Yeah,
He's
I
going to
think
be in a Tom Clancy military propaganda movie soon.
I'm in.
so-
Yeah,
It's like
I'm
watching Matt Damon. Every time you see a Matt Damon movie, you're like, hey, that's Matt Damon. But like, I'm entertained.
My final pick. Let's see. I just did Ray. What is going? I don't know.
There's still a big one on the board.
Yeah, I want to go with Ali just because of
That's what I was thinking.
just because of Will Smith's performance. That was one of the first ones where we were like, oh, he's not yelling at aliens guy. You know what I mean? And he actually sounds and looks a lot like Muhammad Ali. It's really incredible. It's not the best movie in the world. Obviously, it's kind of slow paced, but his performance is one that I think where he's still kind of chasing the white rabbit for that in his career. Honestly,
he nails the cadence. It's you feel like you're watching Muhammad Ali, and no matter if the movie's good or bad, as long as I feel like I'm actually spending time with the person, the historical figure that's supposed to be, that's half the battle because you don't always get that.
I didn't know that Muhammad Ali sounded like that until Ali. I just always seen the fights. I didn't know, and of course the way why he's one of the greatest of all time is just the way that he talked and wrapped himself around. It got in the minds of any fighter that he was ever gonna. Its trash talk was impeccable. I just didn't know that he sounded like that, and it's
Muhammad
actually
Ali-
a really incredible way of speaking and talking that he's able to capture in that movie.
Muhammad Ali basically invented hip hop, so there's not much more you can say about that. But he literally basically invented hip hop.
I'm so modest I can't even admit my own faults.
It's on Jake or it's on
Yeah,
Dex?
it's Jake.
Jake,
oh, it's me. I'm taking a value pick. I'm taking a movie that I think people like, but it flew under the radar. I'm taking 2007's Talk to Me, starring Don Cheadle and Chiwetel Ejiofor. Taraji P. Henson is in it. Cedric the Entertainer, Mike Epps. It's a good movie. It's really entertaining. If you ever want to learn about Ralph Green, he had a radio talk show in DC where he was extremely subversive. I think it was from like 70 to like the 80s. It's once again, movie not true to the actual real history, but it still does a really good job about a person that probably nobody outside of DC really knew about, but is still very entertaining, very interesting.
Didn't get enough love. I really enjoyed it.
It's a good movie. I mean, it's Don Cheadle never misses. Never misses.
Yeah. He's really good in that film, too.
Dex, final pick. Take us home.
So yeah, this has been the Dex nostalgia draft. Like, I'm not picking the best movies or whatever, but just gonna take us home on a DVD cart banger from substitute teacher days at school. Give me Pursuit of Happiness, another Will Smith.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
DVD
Forgot that
cart
counted as a biopic. Yeah.
banger.
Forgot that.
Well, it's such a kind of
The
unbelievable.
Will Smith.
Yeah.
It's like an unbelievable story.
Yeah.
We don't know that real guy, so it's like this is a Will Smith
Yeah,
film.
it's true.
That's a real story.
He's just such an unknown dude that it's just this is Will Smith made up this character.
And yeah, he's acting with Jade. Like, yeah, it just feels like it's.
I cried. I don't think I've
such a-
ever cried harder. Well, Marley and me, but I don't think I've ever cried harder than when he's locked himself inside the bathroom and
the dude is
Jaden's
like
Jaden's
destroying the
asleep
door.
and he's like blocking it and like sleeping on towels on the middle of the bathroom floor.
Mhm.
And I don't think I've ever cried harder. I was just like,
crazy. Or like the scene where Jaden like wants to like be an NBA player or whatever.
yeah.
Will Smith's just like, nah, you suck. And then he like switches up in the middle of it for whatever reason. Oh, so good. Makes no sense, but it was so good.
It's it's a movie where it actually showed the real Chris Gardner, and everybody was like, "Who was that guy at the end?" What
Guy
was
that walks past him on the street.
What was the point of that? That was weird. Anyway, that was a good Will Smith movie.
Some movies we forgot. 12 Years a Slave, a movie that a lot of people never want to watch again.
Oh, we didn't forget it.
I will never
We
watch
didn't
it. I'm
forget it.
sorry. I'm good. I don't need that.
Sorry, Brad Pitt. We didn't forget it. Sorry, Brad Pitt.
Let's see. Get On Up, as well as 42. Rest in peace, Chadwick.
Get On Up is just okay.
Yeah, Get On Up is very not. Get On Up is a movie that could have been successful, but it is an 80 interpretation of James Brown's life. It goes into 60 different.
Notorious with an interesting Anthony Mackie portrayal.
Don't even start. No Anthony Mackie movies will be allowed into this draft, so I'm glad that nobody drafted.
Selma, of course. I get they've counted that as a biopic. Does Hotel Rwanda count?
If it does, then it bangs. I would say no. I can't remember if there's a person who's centered in the plot of that film or not. I guess.
I mean, it's Don Cheadle's character, but
was that a real person?
Is he playing a real character?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I thought he was. No, I didn't think he was playing a real character.
No, he played a real character, a guy that's actually in prison right now.
That movie fucking bangs, so that's a great choice. That movie is great. It's hard to watch, but it's great.
Yeah, that was one we watched in school too. Like, I think we actually watched it like for like history.
That's a dark film to watch in school. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a very dark film to watch.
That's a dark film.
It was one of those like we can't really talk about Rwanda. Like, it's not really in our textbooks or whatever. Like, Texas didn't prepare us for that, but we're just gonna put on this movie. So here you go.
A movie that is not good, but will give you chills every time you watch one scene is Men of Honor, about the black scuba diver.
Yep.
And just a racist Robert De Niro. But let's see.
We forgot Red Tails, which was supposed to be the black film that was going to save Black Hollywood, and then black people went to go see it because it was our black duties, and nobody liked it. We were all like, this movie fucking stinks.
All CGI. That movie was just...
Thank you, George Lucas, but this film is not great. So this film stinks.
One that's kind of it's old. Brian's song about
that's a great
another
BET all-time classic. That shit was on BET every week. It was
See, I thought about taking that because my sister went to Wake Forest, so like that song or that movie just existed in our household for a little while, but I was like, Brian Piccolo was white, so is this a black biopic?
Yeah. I mean, Gail Sayers, but R.I.P.
Idris Elba as Nelson Mandela and Mandela Long Walk to Freedom.
Is that movie good?
That kind of gets
It's
lost.
okay.
I think people like his performance.
Yeah, it's Idris Elba is killing it. Like as opposed to, I think Terrence Howard also did.
God, we got to stop putting Terrence Howard in stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Terrence Howard also did a Nelson Mandela portrayal, and I think Long Walk to Freedom only exists to be like, this is how you do Nelson Mandela. But
Nelson
Got it.
Mandela.
Nelson Mandela. Oh no.
I want my freedom, man.
Oh, does Invictus count then? Because it's just about a white rugby team, but
Wait, how does it count then?
because
Nelson Mandela, isn't it?
Nelson Mandela is the central
Oh,
character, pretty much.
That's right, he is. I always forget that. I like that film. I never thought about it again after I watched it, but I liked it.
one I thought about.
Oh,
was
Hustle and Flow.
Okay, no,
Right.
that's not.
That's
Come
not
on.
I'm kidding.
Come on, man.
one. Come on, that's a main fella.
3-6 Mafia biopic.
One I
They have an Oscar. You realize that?
Yeah.
I do.
It's hard out here for a pimp.
One I thought
Man,
about
China.
was Last King of Scotland with Forrest Whitaker.
That movie is terrifying.
That's the
Yeah.
longest movie I've ever seen.
Terrifying, and I don't know if I wanted to throw it out there or not because Edie Ammon was a fucking monster. But Forrest Whitaker
They
kills
didn't
it.
even show half the shit that Edie Amin was
Oh.
really doing in that film, and the film is still completely horrifying. Like,
Dark as hell.
oh
Yeah.
my god, man!
Cam took that in our original biopics draft when we did this the first time. So I thought about that one too.
I think Dreamgirls is on a list that I saw here. Is that a actual biopic?
Yep, it is,
Loosely,
and kind of like
yeah.
Records.
Oh yeah, Cadillac Records.
All right. We did put out a Twitter question of things that if you had to pick a biopic of a Black historical figure. I put Marvin Gaye. Obviously, that would have to be handled with so much care.
Oh, God. Lord Jesus.
But it'd be a good
They'd have to make that a mini series too.
yeah, actually.
Well, that would be a rough one.
Yeah. I mean, you have to handle. It's always sort of been tossed around. I think at one point Jay-Z had it again. They were like to produce it or something like that. But
I'd love to see
that.
it.
I highly doubt that.
They
it
better
ever
do it
gets
right,
made.
because oh my god.
Well, you got to find somebody that sounds like Marvin Gaye. Like,
It's gonna be
first of
tough.
all,
I
But-
said Bobby Womack because Bobby Womack just an
Most
insane
disrespectful
person.
man of all time.
Yeah, yep.
That would be
Bobby
incredible.
Womack, Sam Cooke situation.
That
just-
would be a peak. We would all have to be there at midnight to watch Bobby Womack just walk around disrespecting people with no regard for life.
Yep, exactly.
T, did you say somebody?
I asked the question of which performance is better, Jay-Z's American Gangster album or Denzel as Frank Lucas, and Denzel is winning with 62% of the vote.
Damn. The craziest one that I saw that actually got the most retweets, and we mentioned it just a second ago in the podcast, was a guy named Bass Reeves, which this is incredible. Rode out the Civil War living with indigenous people, first Black U.S. Marshal west of the Mississippi, a noted marksman. Some believe he's the inspiration for the Lone Ranger. And the guy says more movies about Black cowboys. And this guy has an all-time mustache too.
It's
That film
pretty
sounds
solid.
incredible.
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
Let
Um,
Kaluuya do it.
let's see. Yeah, I was gonna say just let him do it. But
Wait, does Paid in Full count as a biopic? Because if it does,
Yeah.
then it should have been the number one pick.
Yeah.
Greatest film of all time.
Mekhi Phifer.
Greatest film. Cameron is playing Cameron in the film. It is really the Cameron biopic.
All right. Anything else? Baby Boy.
Oh god, worst movie of all time.
Probably on BET right now.
Right now, you could go to BET and you'll see him being born as a full adult human, which is a weird decision. They literally start the film by showing you him being born in like he's in the sack, but he's like a full adult version of himself. And I said, this is a really weird decision, John Singleton. Why did you make this decision? This is actually an incredibly bad. I know the movie's called Baby Boy, but you didn't have to act. It was so literal.
Yeah,
That's
you
one of the
don't do
worst
that.
movies of all time.
A quick shout out to another black figure they can make a biopic about, Matthew Henson, just the greatest coat game of all time, the Arctic Explorer.
Oh man, how far are we off from somebody making a Michael Jackson biopic that's going to be terrible?
Listen, they better not do it. Just don't do it. We already have.
They will. They're going to.
We already have the Jackson's The American Dream, which is a miniseries, but I did think about taking it because it's incredible.
They are absolutely going to butcher a Michael Jackson biopic movie, just like they did with Freddie Mercury. Totally different characters, but like
they completely shit on the Freddie Mercury biopic. I'm still angry about that film.
And they tried to give it so many Oscars, dude. I still can't believe that shit.
I know.
Did they give it the best editing Oscar?
Yeah.
Oh, they tried to give it a lot. And I understand we all like to go to the movies and get drunk and belt out Queen songs from the top of our lungs, but that doesn't make like that film stunk. You just like Queen songs. We all like Queen songs. Like,
watch Live Aid in your house if you're going to do
exactly. that. Exactly. You don't need to watch this film. Just watch Live Aid. The whole thing's on YouTube right now.
I've made this joke several times, but it's a movie where Freddie Mercury finds out he has full-blown AIDS and then walks out of a hospital and says, "Ayo."
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
fuck that film.
That's when he finds out he has HIV.
That film existing was the main reason why I never went back to try to watch Mr. Robot, because I was like, you know what? Fuck everybody involved in that film. I'm not watching Mr.
Robot. First season's elite, and then it just.
I have never seen an episode because he did this, and I said I hate everybody involved in this film.
Also,
Mr. Robot's not for me.
God damn, he was so boring in that recent movie too. Oh.
The little
thing.
We've done a lot of Rami Malek disrespect on this episode.
Yeah.
That's what we should. He's not a good actor, everybody.
Jake, I haven't seen him be good in anything yet.
Do you have anybody, Jake, that you think they should make a biopic of before we wrap up?
I have put exactly no thought into it.
Good.
So I have nothing to contribute, and I'm very sorry.
No, you're good. All right. So that is the One Take Pod. A little bit shorter episode, technically, than we normally do. That is a One Take Pod. You can find us at One Take Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Google+, not Facebook, because no thanks. But we're not getting that ad money that Jake was talking about. But you can find us on.
I mean, I am. You're not. I am.
You can find us on YouTube now. Thank you for the 5 people that watched. You can stream this episode right now on YouTube and see us all just talking to each other via Zoom. But you can also find us on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening, guys. And Dex, what are we doing?
Hashtag support Florence Pugh. We're 2 months away from Black Widow, allegedly.
Oh my God, give it to me now.
We need it.
Allegedly.
Drop that shit. Also, watch WandaVision, because we're going to do a WandaVision episode.
We might do that next. Also, Raya and the Last Dragon just came out.
Yeah, but I'm not going to pay $30 for it.
Wait, what's The Last Dragon?
Raya and the Last Dragon is the newest Pixar film.
Disney movie.
Yeah, but they want...
I'm not paying $30 for it, but when it's free on there, I'm in.
You can give your local theater the money that they desperately need and risk COVID and come out. You can pay $13, get a large popcorn, and still pay less than what Disney.
I can't because my local theaters are not open yet, but they're about to open Disney World or Disneyland, so I'd imagine my theater's about to be open soon. And I'm going to basically live in the Alamo Draft House near my house. I cannot fucking wait.
Dude, I have not been to a movie in a year and a half.
I was lucky enough to get to see Tenet, but that was about it.
I hadn't seen Tenet either. Anyway. So yeah, let's wrap this thing up.
Go ahead. Hardest to take of all time. I've seen Tenet a couple of times now. It's not good, team. It's not good.
Hey man, once I stopped trying to understand the plot of the film, I had a great time.
It's a great time, but
just gotta ride. Just ride.
Could they re-release?
Literally don't even try to understand the film.
Talk about movies they're going to re-release. Christopher Nolan's going to demand they re-release that movie.
That shit's going to be in theaters for a year once it that's just going to be in theaters for a long time.
He's going to demand, and they're not going to do anything about it because he's been shitting on the Warner Brothers selling everything to HBO Max deal since they first announced it. So
you use me as the canary in the coal mine for this shit.
Yeah, he's going to demand so much, and they're going to be like, "That sounds cool. I hope you get to do it one day."
Man, it would be crazy if all of your funding disappeared, Chris. Anyway, all right. So that has been the One Take Podcast. Support Florence Pugh. We're out.
All right, I'll get you my audio. I gotta jump off, but I'll get you my audio, Jake.
Oh,
Bye,
good.
guys.